Hi friends, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a video I feel like I haven't done in a while. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that one of my goals for the year in terms of my reading goal is to read more romantic suspense. As someone who loves horror and who loves romance, I think that this genre is going to have a lot of interest for me, and I have a few books lined up that I want to check out. So this video really is just my TBR of romantic suspense books that I have on my radar in case you are also looking for a thrilling romantic book to read. So the very first book on this list is A Love Most Fatal by Kath Richards. Originally, I wasn't like intrigued by the plot, but then I had a friend describe it to me this way. Teacher goes out on date with a woman. They have a great time. However, on that day, someone shows up and his life is now threatened. Why does someone show up? She is a mafia boss and now he is under her protection. And I was like, a mafia romance where she's the mafia boss? Hell yeah, fucking sign me up. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this second book because you've heard me talk about it a lot. This is All the Missing Pieces by Catherine Cowles. This is a romantic suspense book following a woman whose twin sister went missing a long time ago and the case went cold. It was never solved. This woman then dedicates the rest of her life to having a true crime podcast where she brings just like more light and awareness to cold cases. There is a cold case in this small town that she decides that she's going to investigate. However, the sheriff of this small town really hates that people do that. He thinks it's really kind of predatory to go looking for traumatic situations and events and create content around that. But we know as a reader that is not her intention. They immediately butt heads. They don't get along. However, that case that she was investigating that was cold, suddenly not so cold. And they have to live together because she needs his protection. I really want to get the audiobook for this, even though it is on KU, just because she has a podcast and I'm wondering if the audiobook is going to have a podcast element. But I'm hoping I will love this one. Then I have Fight by Sloane St. James because this is such a beautiful cover. I love this art style so much. But this book follows our hero. He is a firefighter and he fights wildfires, forest fires, things like that. He is also the chief of that. Is it called the brigade? I don't think that's right. The chief of the team who tackles that region. He had a very traumatic incident where he lost a team member. That's not a spoiler, that is in the summary. And that's led him to be very emotionally detached. He had this situation with this woman. He's very attracted to her. They did not work out. However, she is now in danger because she finds herself in a very dangerous survival situation in nature, and they are forced to work together for their survival. I'm hoping I'm going to love this one. The early reviews that I've seen have been overall really positive, so we'll see how I feel about it, but I think I'm going to enjoy it. I like firefighter romances. This one is, I think, the most genre bending because I would consider this to be more of a thriller, domestic suspense. This is The 5-Year Lie by Serena Bowen. I actually have this book. She is. So in this, we're following Ariel, and Ariel lost the love of her life several years ago. This is a man that she was very much in love with, thought she would spend the rest of her life with him. However, he goes missing and she finds out a couple of years later that he has died. Except she gets a message from him saying, you need to come meet me in this location. Now, in her heart and in her soul, she knows that can't be him, but she is determined to find out the truth. And you are following Ariel's journey as she tries to understand what exactly happened all those years ago when the love of her life disappeared, and is the person who is messaging her actually him or is it someone else? I hope I love this one. I don't think I've read a Serena Bowen, but I could be dead ass fucking wrong. I really don't know. However, I know for sure this will at least be like a fun, quick read. Fun in the way that thrillers are fun. That's what I mean. Catherine Cowles makes her appearance again, this time with Fragile Sanctuary. Now, the reason I'm interested in this one is because we are following a woman who's moved to this town and she's having renovations done on her home. And the person who's renovating her home, I think, is brother's best friend or her best friend's brother. He's one or the other. They have some kind of connection and history, and they really don't get along. I think he's attracted to her, but doesn't want to be. And she's kind of like, what the fuck is your deal? However, she She finds herself in a very dangerous situation, and the kind of bad things that have been happening in her life, she's starting to realize is not a coincidence, and perhaps she has a stalker. And of course, our hero is going to step in, help with that situation. They're going to navigate that together. I've heard very good things about this one. I think she owns like an animal sanctuary, so I will let you know what I think of this. And if you want a romantic suspense vlog where I'm reading all of these books, let me know, because I think I can do that for you. Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. I've had this book on my TBR and on my KU for such a long fucking time, and I still haven't gotten to it, and that's because it scares me. In this book, we are following a woman and her sister's boyfriend. Now, these two do not get along. They absolutely hate each other. However, there's a serial killer on the loose, and this serial killer's MO is to take people who don't get along and to force them to fall in love by kidnapping and torturing them before he ultimately kills them. Unfortunately for our hero and heroine of this story, they are kidnapped by this serial killer, and they are now forced into this situation where they are being tortured. We know, and this is part of the summary and the plot, that they do escape, and they are the only survivors of this serial killer. And we're actually following their journey of healing and just trying to live after what has happened to them. He's still her sister's boyfriend, and he goes back to that, and you're really exploring the emotional connection that these two have because of the very traumatic situation that they have dealt with, and being the only other person in the world who understands what the other has gone through. What I will say, and why I have been avoiding this one, is that I know that the trigger warnings are very strong for this one, and as are the content warnings, because I believe the first section of this book is them being tortured on page, and that's the part that's hard for me to get over. Of all the ones, I think this is going to be the darkest of the ones I have on this list, but I'm still going to give it a go, and I know so many people who have read and loved this, so I'm going to keep my faith in that. And finally, we have Whiteout by Adriana Anders. Now, I did ask for recommendations for romantic suspense a couple of weeks ago, and my friends have come through. One of the books they recommended to me was Whiteout. And Whiteout follows the story of two scientists, I believe, who are in Antarctica, and they're about to wrap up their research. Unfortunately, they are now the victims of this really horrific incident where there is a killer essentially trying to slaughter them all. We have two survivors of the story that we are following as they have to navigate the Antarctic landscape, survive, and outwit a killer, but of course realizing there's really nowhere for them to go and nowhere to hide. So you're following their desperate journey for survival, and there's a thriller aspect of them trying to outrun a killer, but it's a romantic suspense in that they're also falling in love while they do this. We'll see how the author navigates this, but I'm really hoping that I end up loving this one. And so besties, that's it. Those are the 7 romantic suspense books that I have on my TBR, on my radar, that I want to get to. Let me know if you've read any of these books, or if there is a romantic suspense that is not on this list that you think I should add to my romantic suspense TBR. I will take your recommendations, and I will see you in my next video, hopefully on Sunday, but if you watch my vlogs, you'll know why that may not happen. As always, besties, I will see you soon. Bye!